Hello and welcome back to my channel, and in today's review we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Leader Class Astrotrain. Now, taking a look at the figure's packaging, as you can see we've got a fantastic piece of artwork of Astrotrain on the side of the packaging. We have in fact got the Leader Class stamp, which if I just very quickly bring the figure in, as you can see, this is no Leader Class. This is the size of the package, and then this is the size of the figure. But anyway, back to taking a look at the packaging, spinning it around to the back. As you can see, we've got some pretty decent images of the figure in his robot mode, his shuttle mode, as well as his train mode, as this figure is in fact a triple changer. We've also got the launchpad mode, where you can actually utilize some of the additional accessories to give Astrotrain this launchpad display option. And then when you flip around to the side of the packaging, as you can see, we've got that very standard Transformers Siege piece of artwork that we've seen across the board for all of the Siege figures. And then very briefly taking a look at the instruction manual, this figure comes with an entire leaflet really detailing the different steps of conversion. Considering Astrotrain is in fact a triple changer, there are a lot of steps that you do in fact have to pay close attention to detail of. Here is the shuttle mode, and it shows you how to obviously add the additional accessories to turn that into a launch pad. And then spinning that around now to the front section, as you can see, it showcases how you can transform the figure from robot mode into the shuttle mode, and then from the shuttle mode into the train mode. And it also showcases how you can utilize the accessories and how you can combine them to create different looks. And here we have Astrotrain opened up and out of his packaging, and as he comes packaged in his robot mode. Now, starting off with Astrotrain himself, as you can see, he is actually an incredibly well detailed figure, and was actually one of the figures that I was most looking forward to in this final last wave 5 of the Transformers Siege trilogy. Now, taking a look at the details of the figure, as you can see, much like all of the Transformers Siege figures, this figure has a strong resemblance to that of the Generation 1 cartoon, which of course it really should. As you can see from the head sculpt, we do in fact have a really nice looking head sculpt with some nice paint apps. However, one thing to note is that I would be cautious when looking through several of these on the shelves of this yellow paint app, as you can see there are 2 scuffs on either side, which came to me like that straight out of packaging. That was nothing to do with me, and simply due to the fact that I ordered this figure online, I had no control over what the QC issues would be. But if you are looking on the shelves and are in fact lucky enough to find one of these in person, then I definitely would be rather cautious of that head crest. As you can see, he has got some nice detailing in the face section itself, and the paint apps in that respect do appear to be fairly nice. We've got this metallic type of purple on the shoulder sections here, and the entire figure has actually got some fantastic sculpted in surface detailing, really giving him a very Cybertronian look. And as you can see, there are some nice subtle paint apps throughout the figure to break up the sculpt, and on the underside of the forearms as well, we've got a metallic blue paint. And if you lift the arms up, we do in fact have Decepticon insignias on either side of Astrotrain's wings. Moving down now to the torso area / the lower region of the figure, as you can see, we once again have got some nice surface in detailing, and it does look very, very detailed. It would be actually quite interesting to see how this figure looks with some additional paint applications on it. But as we get down to the shins, we have that very standard Siege Halfly Hearted Done paint application, which is supposed to give it a weathered detailing. It looks rather messy on this figure. As you can see, it is just mainly on the shins, and some of it is present on the feet. And as you can see here, we've got some detailings of where the train components would be. And just taking a look at a side profile, the legs are rather clunky, and there is rather a large backpack. However, I actually think that the backpack does compress rather well. And turning around to the back as well, we've also got some nice detailings with some silver thrusters, which are obviously designed for the shuttle mode. Now, taking a look at articulation, the figure's head is on a ball joint, so it is able to tilt up and down as well as nod left to right ever so slightly. It can of course rotate the full 360 degree spin. You can rotate the arms 360 as well, however they will bump into the back sections of these wings. You can also hinge them out to the sides, and due to a transformation joint, you can also utilize this joint to get a much greater range of motion. There is also a 360 degree rotation just below the shoulder, as well as a double jointed elbow joint due to transformation. Unfortunately, the wrists are not on swivel joints, they merely do hinge back and forth to of course accommodate for transformation. But he does in fact have a magnificent waist joint, which does allow you to rotate him left to right on a 360 degree peg. However, once again, be cautious of these wing sections, as they can hinder certain poses. Lifting up these skirt sections, you are able to kick the figure's legs out that far and back about that far before it bumps into the wing sections. You can also get them to do the full splits to a great degree, which is very, very surprising. There is a 360 60-degree rotation at the thigh, and then finally the knees are in fact able to bend at a 90-degree angle, and then turning down to the feet section, much like all of the Siege figures, you do in fact get an ankle rocker joint. However, it doesn't hinge forwards and backwards unless you untab it from the transformation joint. So overall, it is rather what you would expect from a Transformers Siege figure. It is no better than a standard Voyager class figure, and for considering that this figure is a leader class, I would have perhaps liked to have seen them perhaps implement rotation at the wrists and even some better foot articulation. Now, before I discuss the accessory segment, I first of all want to show you a comparison between what they are branding as a leader class compared next to the Voyager class Megatron. As you can see, this leader class Astrotrain is actually smaller than the Voyager class Megatron. However, I have got to give it to Hasbro that having these two figures in hand, Astrotrain does feel a lot more dense and a lot more heavier than Megatron does. Not drastically, but there is definitely a weight difference there, and this is due to them probably using better plastic on Astrotrain, and considering that he does in fact have a lot more parts than Megatron. Now, much like Siege Shockwave, Astrotrain 2 also includes additional accessories, which I guess are of course to warrant the leader class price point. As you can see, this is it in its carriage form, and you're mainly supposed to use this when the figure is in fact in his train mode. This does plug and kind of towel along the back, but this too has also been detailed really nicely, and we've got some nice detailings of treads on both sides of the figure, as well as these caster wheels that play more of a role in the different vehicle modes. But we've got some nice metallic blue paint apps on either side of this carriage section, and in order to really get the gist of what this is, you actually have to pop open the sides just like so, and if you have in fact installed all of the weapons, you will in fact see them all laid out in here. Now, he does actually come with quite a few different weapons, which I guess warrants a leader class price point. These are all quite heavy duty plastics, although they are hollow underneath. There is quite a lot of them. And just setting this section off to the side, as you can see, he does come with this missile pod of sorts, which can be plugged onto him in whatever way you so choose. He comes with these two blasters, which are more or less exactly the same as one another, just inverted so that they can peg onto either side of the figure's shoulders. And then he also includes two bigger cannons. One looks to me as if though it is a machine gun, and this is more of a plasma cannon. And once again, just bringing Astrotrain in, you can really armor him up utilizing these weapons and give him quite a different look and more armored, which I actually think is quite a nice play feature with this figure. You can definitely make him look as if though he is the armory of the Decepticons, but that's not all you can do with this piece here. If you take these sections and actually pull them away from this, you do in fact separate these, and these actually peg onto the base of the feet in order to give him about an inch extra in height. I'm really unsure as to why they included these, but these do just peg on the underside of Astrotrain's feet, and it does add a slight heft to his overall height. If I bring Megatron back in for a comparison, as you can see, he is more or less eye to eye with Megatron, and he's a little bit, maybe a slight bit taller than Megatron now, with these additional extra pieces based onto his feet, and utilizing the ankle pivot, we can in fact get him stationary. But you can also plug this onto the back as well in a rather obscure way. So you're supposed to take this section here and spin it around just like so, and then I guess close all of this up just like that. Bring this down, snap it into place, rotate this section around, and it is supposed to just peg into these three holes, and that is effectively how you store all of the accessories on Astrotrain when in robot mode. And with all of this on, he definitely does feel really hefty, a lot heavier than he did without all of these extra weapons. And once again, bringing Megatron in again, there is no doubt that there is a significant increase of plastic on this figure than this figure, despite them being roughly the same size. Now, turning to the transformation of Astrotrain, it is really the entire transformation engineering that you really get a sense of this figure's complexity, as it definitely does harken to what a leader class complexity level should be. To begin with, the instructions showcase you transforming him from robot mode into his shuttle mode, and then from his shuttle mode into his train mode, and so that is what I will demonstrate in this video. The first step that you're going to want to do is effectively pull the arms out just like so. We can then proceed to collapse the wrists in on both sides, and then you're going to want to rotate them so that this section is now facing inwards. So just rotate that the full 360 degrees, and now utilizing the double joints, we're going to get this slot here aligned with this tab. So just collapse this in upon itself and snap that into place, and repeat the same process now on the opposite side. So align that up and snap that into place, bring it around, and then we can lift these two sections up and they will just rest over the top of Astrotrain's head for now. What we can then do is take these pieces here and just pull those out from the sides. They are rather difficult to get out as they do tab in rather securely. So just lift those pieces out just like so. And then we're going to actually take this whole section here and hinge this all the way up just like that, making sure that the arms are rather aligned, and then this piece here will come back and just rest in between the gap that the two arms create. What we can then do is collapse these pieces in and they will effectively fill in this gap. So just push all this in, making sure that everything is rather snug and tightly compacted, and then come to these hip sections here and just lift those all the way up just like so, and they will snap into place. Rotate the figure around now, and we're going to take this entire back assembly, pull it away from the body and lift it upwards. And as you can see, there are two tabs on either side that will actually plug into these two slots on either side as well. So you effectively just want to align those as best as you possibly can. Just snap that side in and then repeat the same process and snap this side in. It can be rather difficult to do. And then ensuring that the arms are also aligned with one another, we can take this whole section here and hinge this up. And in here, as you can see, there are two slots here and here that these two tabs here and here will actually go into. So just pull this all the way back over and try your best once again to make sure that everything can just tab into place just like so. So this whole cap section has now capped firmly over the top, solidifying this entire piece here. What we can then do is turn our attention now to the feet, and what you're going to want to do here is actually pull them away and then lift them up, as there is this section here which actually plugs into this circular section. If you just yank it down, you're more than likely going to break that. So pull that up, and then this slot here will plug into this big grey peg, and just snap that into place just like so, and repeat the same process. Pull this out and then proceed to fold that back in, and then you'll have those sections looking somewhat like this. What we can then do is rotate around now, and you're going to want to pull this whole outer section away from this. So just take this and pull this out, and then you're going to want to tab these two pieces together just like so, making sure that everything looks and appears symmetrical. What we can then do is take these pieces and pull them away and then straighten them out just like so. So pull them away and straighten out just like that. Now what you'll want to do is essentially just collapse those in upon themselves and give them a good tab into the base just like so. And then these two halves will actually according in just like so. And then repeat the same process now for this side, flipping under to the underside, just ensuring that everything is aligned appropriately, snapping all of this into place, snapping that all into place just like so. And there we effectively have Astrotrain in his second alternate form, that being the shuttle mode. Now surprisingly, it is actually really pretty decent, and it definitely does resemble that of a shuttle. As you can see, we've got this entire front section which once again has got that metallic-y blue type of purple paint app on the front with these silver windows for the cockpit. We've also got that siege detailing on the top where the shins would be, which look really nice. And whilst this whole section here may not look as clean, it definitely does go with the rest of the figure and definitely doesn't look too out of place when posed next to it. So I actually think that this is a very solid looking shuttle mode. As you can see, the wings look really nice, and I like the purple strip that goes around them. And then flipping to the underside, as you can see, it does tidy up incredibly well. So as far as Triple Changer goes, he is actually incredibly impressive. Now taking a look at this carriage, this too once again also has got a function for this mode. Opening it up is fairly straightforward. Just pop open all these panels, pop this open, and then effectively remove all of the weapons on each side, just so that we can get this mode looking as accurate as possible to what the instructions showcase. And once again, you can add these weapons onto any port on this figure that you so desire. But what you're just effectively supposed to do here is take these and pull those backwards just like so. And unfortunately, this doesn't seem to sit flush whatsoever. It does seem to have a curve, which I'm not entirely sure it's supposed to, but you're just supposed to attach this shuttle to this section here, and it is literally just supposed to rest on there. I guess for transportation it would roll along the ground using these treads in order to be transported. I'm not entirely sure on that at all. Or alternatively, you can take this section here and just collapse that down just like so, and then straighten these pieces out. And as you can see, we've got those 3 ports that the pegs on this thruster section will in fact plug into. So just aligning that up. Here we have the launch pad look for Astrotrain, and I think that this works reasonably well. However, once again, I have no idea why this cannot sit flush whatsoever, and I don't want to force it. Considering this whole section's on a swivel joint, you could in theory rotate this around in whatever angle you so choose, and I actually think that if I was to display Astrotrain in his shuttle mode, this would definitely be the option that I displayed him in. For a quick siege vehicle mode size comparison, here we have Astrotrain in his shuttle mode compared next to Voyager class Optimus Prime, and as you can see, they are roughly exactly the same size, with Astrotrain maybe being slightly bigger due to how all of these wings compress. So I guess in a sense he is slightly bigger than a Voyager, but I'm not entirely sure whether he's big enough to warrant a £50 price point. Now, in order to get Astrotrain transformed from his shuttle mode into his train mode, it is relatively straightforward. First off, you're going to want to bring that down just like so. What we can then do is take these sections here and just lift those up on either side. So just get this one out. As I stated, these are rather difficult to pull out. Make sure that's collapsed down. Take this whole section now and bring this down and tab this into place, and then snap these pieces inwards. Then we're going to want to take these massive wings and just bring those up just like so on both sides. And then what you can do here is there are slots on the inside of these wings that these sections here will in fact tab into. So you just want to align those up and snap those into place just so that they are flush as seen like this. And then flipping around now to the front, you're going to want to untab this whole section here. So just break this all apart, and then come to this and break that all apart, and then take this now and rotate that around just like so. Rotate that around, and then in here this whole section will pull outwards just like that. And then what you're going to want to do here is this piece is on a pin joint. You're going to want to pull that all the way down, and now repeat the same process for this side. So just get your finger in here and pull that section out, and then take this piece here and try your best to put it down until it clicks all the way down. This whole pin should be moved all the way to the bottom until it snaps into place just like so. And then what we can do is tab these 2 pieces back together, ensuring that all the pegs have been snapped firmly into place. And then we can take this and once again snap this all over one another, ensuring that all sides are covered and everything is tabbed in securely. And then now with these pieces, you're going to want to bring those down just like so. But before we actually tab those in, these pieces here are supposed to come down and just rest along this side, and then bring this one down as well. And then where this tab is, it will plug into this slot. So just snap these into place also. And there you effectively have Transformers Siege Astrotrain in his train mode. Now, as you saw, from shuttle mode to train mode, it was actually relatively easy, and I think that the train mode really does look very faithful to an actual train. It really is quite impressive how well each of these modes do in fact pull off, and as I stated, it is really the engineering of this figure that you really get a leader class sense of feel. Now, you can take this carriage section. It is completely up to you if you plug it in this way, just like so, and have that as the base, or if you have that as the base. It's really up to your own interpretation, as these all have wheels on, so it really doesn't matter. However, I do believe that looks more coherent with the rest of the figure, and just putting him down is really, now when you compare him next to a Voyager, that you can definitely see that this figure had to be priced at a leader class, as he is significantly longer than that of the Voyager class Optimus Prime. While slimmer, there is definitely a lot more plastic here, and he definitely does feel a lot more heftier. So just separating this section, as you can see, I think that the detailings in the wheels of the train really do look very impressive, and all of the wheels do in fact roll on this figure, so it's great to see that they didn't skimp out on any of that detailing. We've got some nice grey paint apps here, obviously to pick out the details of the tubes, and these have been painted really nicely. We've got some nice nuts and bolts at the top in order to give the figure a really realistic feel, and then as you can see, the front section of the train definitely does look very faithful to a real life train, with a silver headlight at the top and a Decepticon insignia on either side. So overall, for a train mode, once again, this is really very impressive, and it does in fact roll incredibly well. So that was my review on the Transformers Siege War for Cybertron Leader Class Astrotrain. Personally, this figure was rather a mixed bag for me. I do feel that this figure should have perhaps been priced at a Leader Class price point, and I really do wonder that if they hadn't included this section, much like if they hadn't included this additional section on Shockwave, would have Hasbro priced this figure at a Leader Class? I honestly don't think so. But with all that being said, without this attachment, the plastic of this figure does definitely feel a lot more sturdy, and the level of engineering that has gone into this figure is definitely a lot more complicated than your regular Siege Voyagers. This figure has got a fantastic looking robot mode, a really impressive looking shuttle mode, and I actually think that the train mode too is really impressive, as it definitely does capture the essence of what a real life train would look like. As you can see, he also comes with an incredible plethora of different weapons, all of which are completely different sculpts. Personally, I would wait for this figure to go on sale if you're not really eager to get him. If I hadn't had reviewed him, I probably wouldn't have paid any more than £35 to £40. I really don't think 50 to 60 is worth warranting picking this figure up, as I really don't think that he is as big as some of the previous leaders, but as I stated, the engineering that has gone into him is incredible, and I definitely think he's probably one of the most well engineered Transformers Siege figures. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.